Good evening, everyone. I welcome you to the State of the Arts panel. My name is Anike Isekome, and I am the Secretary and Vice President of Events and Programming for SAL. Please be aware that this event is being recorded and that during the second half we'll be accepting questions from the audience. When it comes to that time, please speak clearly into the mic. Please scan the QR code as a part of your attendance. Our moderator for tonight is a graphic and interactive design student, the social media manager, and member of the Legends a cappella group, treasurer for the org AIGA, and is also the founder and president of the Student Artists League, i.e. SAL. I now present Sean Formantes.
Thank you, Anike, for that wonderful introduction. Can we please give another round of applause to Anike? He's done a wonderful job as our interim vice president of events and programming. The position was actually vacant, so he's been serving as both our secretary and our vice president over the past couple months, and he's putting a lot of effort. So great job, Anike. Thank you so much. I'm Sean Formantes, the founder and president of the Student Artists League. On behalf of all of us here on SAL, I want to welcome you, the few who made it out, thank you for coming, to our State of the Arts panel. That's right, State of the Arts. We often hear about Quinnipiac aiming to be the university of the future, providing state-of-the-art education that the future demands. But we want to take that a tad bit further. Tonight we'll be discussing the state of the arts, exploring how the visual and performing arts can play a role at Quinnipiac, not only for today, but also tomorrow. Our vision at SAL is that of a thriving art scene which uplifts the atmosphere of Quinnipiac's campuses and the Bobcat community. Which begs the question, what is a thriving art scene? And what does that mean compared to Quinnipiac's current art scene? In my mind, a thriving on-campus art scene is one of visual and performing arts, regardless of major, and without obstacles or hindrance. It is one where diversity and creativity are put on display for all to see through the impactful presence of the arts in all corners of every campus. A thriving art scene is one where students can create art together, which would further their creative thinking skills and college education to prepare them for the exciting future that awaits them. That's the future vision. And so many of us want to rush to that. I know I do. But despite having a focus on this future, we also need to talk about today. What does our art scene look like right now? And what do we have the ability to do right now to change it so that we will affect its future? Think about that, because we all have the ability, if we would only use it, to do something in the here and now that can change the trajectory of the future of the arts at Quinnipiac. I've experienced the obstacles in creating art on this campus. I've read about and heard about different experiences and hardships from both past and current students. But in every story, a glimmer of hope always shines through. It starts when you realize that Quinnipiac has a bunch of arts organizations, each furthering the presence and recognition of on-campus arts. And that we have a bunch of student leaders, such as those here on tonight's panel, that are ready to tackle the issues head on. So, what is the state of the arts here at Quinnipiac? And how can we improve upon it? That's what tonight's panel is about. And with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. First panelist is Jake Seedorf. He is a 3+1 international business student from Rhode Island. He is the Vice President for Operations to Quinnipiac Student Government Association, Finance and Operations Committee to the Quinnipiac 1929 Fund, and has been an actor for several orgs and projects on campus. Most notably, Jake has been in shows for Fourth Wall and Main Stage Theater, as well as the Quinnipiac Film Society short film. He loves the arts and the community it promotes, and he is excited to work to improve it. Presenting Jake, everyone, to give his opening statement.
Thank you, Sean, for putting this whole event together. Before I start, I just want to say thank you to you and everybody. The turnout isn't as expected, but that's okay. We can still have a valuable conversation here. So, my opening statement here, I just want to say Quinnipiac's art scene is underrepresented and underappreciated. And it's no secret that Quinnipiac's not known for its art programs. But it's well known by all of us that we have some extremely dedicated and talented students to this community. I think due to the creation of the Student Arts League, We have an opportunity to improve the art scene here on campus, but only if we do so properly. The people that contribute to this organization are some of the most creative and innovative that I have ever had the chance to meet, and it's time to put that innovation and creativity to work. The Student Artists League has brought several arts organizations and individuals together. Now we need to put them to action. The students here often don't realize the high-level impact that they have on the university, especially when they team up, as you all are doing with SAL. I encourage you to have conversations with departments, administrators, and other representative bodies at Quinnipiac about what you would like to see change here. Do you want more funding, more opportunities to show yourselves off to students, more opportunities to show yourselves off to the public? No matter what it is, if you work together and come up with a formal process to push for those things and advocate for yourselves, I am positive you'll see success. We can't wait, or we may not see a future at Quinnipiac with such a dedicated group as you are to grow and lift the arts community. I see a very bright future for the artists at Quinnipiac and for the reputation of the arts of the school, but only if we work towards practical changes together. I look forward to doing whatever I can to support you in that process, as I know many others in this community are.
Thank you, Jake. Jenna Hallam is a senior here at Quinnipiac who is working towards her Bachelor of Arts in Graphic and Interactive Design. She has always been passionate about visual communications, which is why design has been such a perfect fit for her over the past 4 years. Growing up on Long Island, New York, only an hour away from New York City, has strongly influenced where Jenna hopes to pursue her career. She has a great interest in motion graphics, and it is her dream to become a title sequence designer in the field of film and television. Being a part of the American Institute of Graphic Arts, or AIGA, has taught her so much, and for Jenna, it has been an honor to be the president of the Quinnipiac chapter. Presenting Jenna to give her opening statement.
Hi everyone, thank you Sean for putting this together. When I first started at Quinnipiac, I was a film and television major. After taking my first visual design class in my second semester, that's when I discovered that my interests were leading me in the direction of graphic and interactive design. It was nerve-wracking to switch my major when film has been my passion throughout my entire life. However, in my sophomore year, I learned a lot, and I struggled to believe if I had made the right decision. Finally, in my junior year, I took motion graphics in both my first and second semesters. I had an epiphany when I realized I can make graphics in film and television, and ever since then, I've had a new dream of becoming a professional title sequence designer. Although Quinnipiac isn't an art school, the creative classes and organizations that are offered provide so many opportunities to improve and collaborate with others. Without Quinnipiac, I would have never discovered my potential to become the president of AIGA or receive a scholarship through New York Women in Communications for graphic design. Last year, AIGA granted me the opportunity to submit my photography work in our spring showcase. I was so honored to win first place in my category and discover a great range of student work in all other areas of design. Apart from AIGA, I've had additional experience working in a theater design class and insight into working on live entertainment through Quinnipiac Tonight. Overall, Quinnipiac has provided me with a well-rounded background, and I feel that it has made me well prepared for my chosen career path. And I am very happy to answer any questions and share my experience with you guys.
Thank you, Jenna, for that wonderful opening statement. Nina Pizzello is from Waterford, Connecticut. She is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in journalism here at Quinnipiac. She is a motivated undergraduate with a passion for broadcast journalism specifically, but she does love to write as well. Nina is a peer catalyst for sociology, and she works at the gym. Her passion besides journalism is music. She has always been heavily involved in music her entire life, whether that be choir, band, musical theater, and currently a cappella. Nina is the president of the Legends a cappella. She believes that it is such an honor to be the leader of such an incredible organization. Nina is an extremely hardworking and passionate individual that believes the arts deserve more recognition and support here at Quinnipiac. Presenting Nina to give her opening statement.
Hi everyone, I am so honored to be here tonight to represent the music program here, and a huge thank you to Sean for putting this together and having me here. So, as Sean mentioned, my name is Nina Pizzello, and I am the president of the Legends Acapella here at Quinnipiac. The arts mean so much to me. Specifically singing, it is an escape for me as it is for many people. I am a hard-working individual who will always advocate and support something I believe in. I believe in the Legends Acapella and the music program here. I will work as hard as I possibly can to not only continue the growth the group has made this year, but get the group the equipment, opportunities, and recognition it deserves. I have so many plans and goals for this upcoming year. An example would be, this group needs an actual sound system. That would include 18 wireless microphones, a soundboard, amps, and microphone stands. Although it is a challenge to get this equipment, I am up for it. My goal is to have an improved sound system as soon as possible. This group deserves more support from the school financially. With everything we have accomplished, especially last year winning the ICCA Northeast quarterfinal, I have been actively thinking of ideas to help us get more. We fundraise like crazy, but shouldn't we get the same support sports do on campus? What makes us less important? Why is our music building and theater pushed away from campus? Why is there only one little room in our music building? These are the questions I have struggled to come up with answers for. The number of prospective students that would be more inclined to come here if there was a stronger music program is a high number. The amount of people who have asked me about Quinnipiac University's music and theater program is insane, and it saddens me to explain to them there isn't much of one here. I want to hold events and performances here. As an a cappella group, we have never had an event at our campus. I want to continue networking with other groups because it is beneficial to get our name out there. Just like sport teams gets to travel or play games against other sport teams here, why don't we have a space where we can do that as well? We can barely move around in the music building with 17 members. Forget it if we have another group come. I have traveled to private colleges just like Quinnipiac, where there have been beautiful theaters and spaces for the arts. When is Quinnipiac going to do that for us? I know improvements and things like this take time, but I will work and fight for not only the Legends, but the entire music and theater program. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina, for that wonderful opening statement. We're now going to move into some pre-prepared questions that were submitted by our SAL e-board and also our general board members from the Student Artists League. And for this first one, we're actually going to go down the line in the order that we just went in. And it's a one-word fill in the blank. So I'm very interested in seeing what you will answer. So, fill in the blank. The state of the arts at Quinnipiac is?
Improving.
Underrepresented.
Underappreciated.
All right. For the next couple questions, whoever wants to speak first, go ahead and answer the question. What do you believe the on-campus art scene lacks?
I believe it lacks a space. We have so many organizations and students that go here who love the arts, and all they want to do is be able to express those arts and show off everything that we work so hard on throughout the year. And, you know, not to go back to sports, but they have these beautiful gyms and these crazy stadiums, but where is our stage? And it's just unfortunate that we are shoved off campus and we don't have a place to have our family and friends come to watch us, and we have to find random classrooms to go to or a space like the piazza. You know, I feel like it, most importantly, like we need a better space to perform.
I can definitely agree with that. I think the question was, what is the on-campus art scene like? And I would say pretty non-existent, because it's not on campus. It's pushed off to the Theater Arts Center and the music building that I think a lot of students don't even realize exists and has a separate campus over there. Like, there's not really any performance this year. Last year there was the performance at the winter lighting, and I think that was the only one that anyone knew about. Right. So it's kind of not really on this campus at all.
I'd just like to add to that I believe that the student art scene lacks proper networking opportunities. There is a career fair every year on this campus. However, I believe that for the art scene specifically, we deserve to have our own career fair just because the networking and the communications in this field is a lot different compared to many other fields. And for me personally, at the career fair that I attended, which was really virtually because of COVID situations, I was only able to get 2 interviews, and then one of them that was scheduled for me ended up canceling. And so it just doesn't feel like it was taken very seriously in my personal experience. So I think that's something that we can definitely work on.
All right, those are some wonderful answers and some things that we really need to think about here. We're gonna move on to our next question. In what ways does Quinnipiac currently support the arts, and how can the university improve its support?
The minimal support that the arts does get or receive is really from funding through SGA, which we don't even have that much to be able to provide to begin with, which is obviously lacking, and that one space that's off campus. I want to be slightly optimistic in the fact that I think the arts is gaining recognition, but it's still not where it needs to be. So I think like the formation of this group is something that's really important to think about, and mobilizing everybody in terms of if the arts is gaining recognition, you have to capitalize on that now. You can't wait until it's kind of fallen off or it's been forgotten about. So I think the support financially is minimal, but the support internally from administrators is there. It's just not being pushed forward because no one's, not that no one's not in their face about it, but maybe we have to be a little more proactive, I guess.
So one thing for the design community specifically is every year we hold a spring design showcase where students are able to display all of the work that they've created throughout the entire year, and it ranges from web design, mobile design, photography, motion graphics, etc. And so for me, I feel like that is a great opportunity for design students. And then after the showcase, let me go back. And then during it, people are able to go look at all of the projects that are displayed and then vote on what they believe is the best one to be. And then the winners usually have like a small prize at the end. So in that case for design, I would say that it is represented well, at least for one time out of the year, but I think that's definitely something that we can grow upon and collaborate with other schools, or at least have multiple times a year instead of just once, because after the design showcase, the work is displayed for students to see, but it's only a small portion out of the entire year. So I think we could definitely work on recognizing student work more than just like one time a year, at least for design students specifically.
So specifically with the Legends Acapella, I feel that the school has definitely given an effort with supporting us, you know, just giving us support and financially giving us support. SGA has been a huge part of that. We really wouldn't have close to the amount of funds that we have now without them. But it's sad, and it's quite frankly, lack of a better word, ridiculous, that we win a Northeast quarterfinal in the ICCA's, the largest a cappella competition in the country, and we lose our funding for the ICCA's the next year. How is it that when we excel and we succeed and we are actually bringing Quinnipiac attention, like a small little private university in Connecticut is in the top 10 a cappella groups in the country, why is that the time to pull our funding? Why shouldn't you be supporting us even more to help us succeed even more, you know? And it's just, that is where the support lacks, and I feel that they are almost setting us up to fail, and they're setting us up to not succeed or not grow. And we need, overall, like, we need more support. All programs of the arts need more support, and I think, you know, like Jake has mentioned before, that's what makes this organization so beautiful and so important, because it's the first organization that's actually looking at these issues and dealing with them head on. So, thank you, Sean.
Thank you for those words. I think everyone in SAL really appreciates that, and that's really what we're aiming for to do, is to elevate, I think is the right word, the on-campus art scene, get it the recognition it deserves. We have one more question pre-prepared before we move into audience questions. So if you are in the audience right now, think about what question you would love to ask our wonderful panelists. For those of you watching online through our live stream, hello. You can also comment below what your question is, and we will have that question answered. But first, we have one more pre-prepared question. What is your dream creative space on campus, and how would you make it inclusive for students of all ability levels? So hypothetical, what is your dream? Like, what is the vision?
A theater. I would love to have like an actual auditorium, because, you know, the panelists and I, we were having a little bit of a conversation before this started, and, you know, of course, the Quinnipiac needs to have a space and do something that will also benefit the school and their funding. But if we had an auditorium, we were talking about how many people from in this area, or, you know, even people who aren't from this area, how many people would rent out that stage or that auditorium and they would profit from that? How many people would come to the shows if there was a space, or there was, you know, it's so hard to, you know, we want these large audiences, right? We want the support, but we don't have a space to fill people. People can't fit. Like, how many people can truly fit in this piazza for our concert? Not a lot. And we deserve an auditorium. If sports has multiple stadiums and gyms and all of this space, don't you think that the arts and the theater program and the music program and even the design program, don't they deserve a space where, you know, they can show what they do and what their passions are, because they are just as important as any other passion here at Quinnipiac. And, you know, that's what I think. I'm gonna stop there.
I think it also comes down, I mean, yes, a theater, and it comes down to like just better planning of things. Like, I know the new buildings, Ryan looked at a lot. The theater that they're putting in there is literally just for speakers, like people who are coming to do like TED Talks and stuff. Why is a space for TED Talks more important than the students here who are doing things like the a cappella group and the theater groups, that you could be making a space that same size that you could, if you wanted to, you could do a TED Talk in it. But why is that the priority? I don't really understand that. And the planning, who created 515 Sherman Ave with two separate buildings, with two separate parking lots, when it could have been one building that's much larger than those two are right now, with one parking lot that's joined in? My dream for this school is better planning and better use of space, because it's not being done right now.
So in regards to the design community, the Center of Communications and Engineering, I think, does have a good space, because I think the biggest priority is that we have MacBooks with all the Adobe programs on there to be able to make the work that we are required to make. So thankfully we do have that space. However, my biggest thing is, for example, my typography final that I had at the end of my sophomore year. We all needed to have our projects printed at the very end of the year. We had to have them displayed professionally done so we could have that experience. But in order to do that, we had to go to an off-campus printing press and pay an extra, I think for me it was like about $100 to have my final project printed, and that just felt extremely unfair. I mean, thankfully we get free printing as design students, but to have to pay an extra $100 for a final, that doesn't make sense. So I think that for us to have our own professional printer, I guess that access for all of us is definitely a priority.
All right, any questions? Yes, we have one.
what are some specific steps you think that people should be taking in order to get the school to like recognize the arts more? Like what steps can we take?
I think this organization, SAL, needs to work closely with student government and student programming on possible co-sponsorships and things. And then especially if you notice an issue, like the $100 for the final that you brought up, SGA senators work on initiatives all the time that tackle things like that. So, I mean, I really don't think it is fair that a student should be paying $100 to go print their final somewhere off campus and all this stuff. That's definitely something that an SGA senator could look at and find a proper administrator and work with you on to get solved. So the governing groups here have a lot more power than I think students realize, and they've done a lot more than students realize. If they can get a Starbucks on campus and a pub on York Hill, I think they can get $100 for the graphic design students for their finals, which they should not be paying. So I think reach out to those groups and work with them as much as possible, because even if they can't get something done, they will try, or they will give you like some nudge in the right direction.
I could also add to that in regard to just communicating with other clubs. If you need something like flyers or social media representation for your club, even though it's like not an arts club, you can reach out to us and we could be in, like help out in coordinating something to promote your event that you're having. Something like that. I think we just need to get a lot better at communicating with each other and collaborating overall across all organizations and clubs on campus.
I believe, and I think I can say I know, that we are stronger in numbers. And I feel that if the school sees a larger group of people who are all feeling the same way about the arts or about a certain situation or topic, they'll be more inclined to make a change. Because if they have one or two people here or there advocating for the arts or trying to make a change with even any organization, I feel that we are more powerful and we are stronger in numbers. So I think getting people, like Sean with this organization, getting people together and creating a community where we all can go to the school and be like, listen, this is a serious problem and a large part of our student body is not okay with it. So we need to find a way to fix it. So that's something I would do, for sure.
Any audience questions? Yes, one right here.
Just with the South Quad, like the rooms that are being constructed, having like business school classrooms, science and education, and like housing. But it seems like an adamant complaint is there's no music on, or there's no arts on campus. Do you feel like they could be doing more with this new quad?
Absolutely. I actually find it quite absurd that we're adding buildings that I think that we're doing fine without at this point in time. And, you know, the school has reasons for doing everything, and I'm not saying that the reasons are wrong. I just believe that there are bigger and more important things that need to be on this campus than new business classrooms. You know, we have plenty of classrooms, but we have so many organizations and art and people of arts that are so underrepresented and are literally shoved off campus. We're in two little small buildings on Sherman, and that's ridiculous because we deserve to be on campus and a part of this community just as much as any other organization. And I think that adding business classrooms is not going to make anything better here.
I think it depends on which things they're adding. So like the health sciences ones I understand, because that's a major part of Quinnipiac, and those rooms are very specific. They have to be set up a certain way. Those students need a certain type of environment. But in terms of business classrooms, as a business student, most of my classes are not in the School of Business anyways. So I don't really care. It doesn't affect my learning if I'm taking a class in CCE or Tater or Eklund or the business school. It doesn't impact me. So the fact that we're making more of those spaces doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because you can, as a business student, you can learn that same material in any type of classroom on this campus. But for a program like the arts, just like health sciences, you need a very specific type of classroom, you need a very specific type of space to do your work and to interact with people like that. And so I think it's interesting that they wouldn't make a space like that for those students, but instead provide more spaces that are just like all the other classrooms we have on campus that work the same way and you can learn the same.
I'd just like to add on to that. So even though my experience with the theater program here is very minimal, in my sophomore year I took a theater design class, and it actually ended up requiring a lot of extra time outside of class in the wood shop, the workspace area, to create the props. And for me personally, I had a car, and I drove another fellow student with me like almost every day. But as it gets closer to production time and you need that space to work on, to stay late nights or to come early mornings, that is such a hassle, I can imagine, for those students. So I think that focusing on building more of like even a workspace here on main campus so students don't have to like go through the shuttle system to go way off campus is just something that should be more important than building classrooms for a space where we already have that and it's already well available on campus.
I just actually want to add to that as the moderator. Let me preface this by saying I believe in the leadership of this university. I have great respect for the administration, the faculty, and the staff of this university. There's another university here in Connecticut that spent $98 million on a performing arts center. Quinnipiac is spending $210 million on the South Quad project. So I just want to clarify what I'm saying by that is that I believe we can put an investment into the arts. It doesn't even have to be the $98 million that other college spent on that center. It's a very huge center. But we should be able to make that investment if we're spending such a substantial amount of money, not only from the university's fund, but also I believe from the endowment, correct me if I'm wrong, into the South Park project. So I just wanted to add that. Are there any other questions from the audience? All right, another one.
I mean, does it feel like as students of the arts you're kind of talking to a void when trying to argue for these changes? Because like I don't know much on the political science major. I'm kind of staying away from the arts. I don't know a lot, and I don't know if that's the fault of Quinnipiac, the fault of the arts. I'm just kind of curious your experience and how advocating's been going.
That's actually kind of a tough one to answer, because yes and no. It depends which setting you're in and which role you're in at the time you're speaking to them. Because, interestingly enough, as someone from the theater department, I feel like I'm talking into a void when I'm saying things. But as someone from SGA, I feel like I'm not. So why we're not listening to the people who have actually lived through these experiences and actually use these spaces constantly versus the people who, like, yes, you were elected to represent students, but maybe pull these people into conversations and actually talk to people as impacting rather than just talking to me or other people in SGA. I know the administration does care a lot about the students here. I've worked with several of them a lot, and I know specific ones who are definitely invested in the arts, but we need to show it, and we need to actually talk to people who it impacts more significantly than just myself, you know?
So here's the difficult answer to that question. I'm a firm believer that actions are louder than words, and they show more than words, you know? And when going to administration and advocating for yourself or for an organization or for the arts, they will sit there and they'll be like, absolutely, like, we understand, like, we support you, we are here for you, but then nothing happens. And then you're calling them again 2 months later and being like, hey, what's the update on this? And they're, oh, we're working on it. but there's no proof of them working on it. And I do truly believe, and this is not me saying that or bashing on administration or anything, because I love Quinnipiac. I'm a huge fan of the school, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I care about this so much. If I didn't care about the school, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But it gets to a point, it's like, when are you going to actually do something about this? How many people have to come to you before you make that action or you make that change? So I think that there is support verbally from the school, but they're not really doing anything about it. So that's what makes it feel like we are talking to a void.
For me, for the theater and the music buildings, I would say, or the programs, I would definitely say have had to jump bigger hurdles than the design community specifically. And I mean, even for me personally, like, I never really know when a theater project is happening or a program. Same with music. I had no idea that acapella for Quinnipiac was in the top 10 in the country. And those are just things that outside students really should know. They deserve that recognition. So I definitely will take your word and agree with what you're saying, that I think the administration does care, but they need to be more honest when they say that they're working on something, that it really is something that should be prioritized and that they're honest about.
Sorry, I know I already answered this one, but I have more to say. So, my only other thing too is, like, if you're not working on something, fine, tell the person that, and then tell us when it is you can get to it. Like, people don't like to hear, yes, we're working on it, when you're not. Like,
Right.
if you can't get to it right now, if you don't have the funds for it right now, if you have bigger projects going on, fine, but people like a timeline.
Right.
We have time for 2 more questions. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question. Anyone from the live stream, AK? Comments from the live stream? All right, well, I have some questions. And I'm the moderator, but I'm gonna go and ask this question. So, we do know both the music building, the theater arts building, are located off campus. They're very small, they're very secluded from the campuses. And what challenges does this present, and how can they be combated?
Yeah, transportation has always been the largest problem, I think. Yes, the space is small, but we manage to get by, but transportation is difficult. Especially when shuttle drivers are just skipping the Theater Arts Center, that doesn't help. And when it's hard to find a ride and things. One thing that is also bothering me about it is there's no shuttle stop there. They just pull right into the parking lot and leave, so there's no enclosed space for students to sit. I know there is a senator in SGA right now trying to work on getting a shuttle stop there. So one of the things I mean by taking action on stuff like this, back that senator, like, prove that there are students who support it, get more voices out there, talk to administrators, find out who they're talking to, and also send them an email. Say, I know there's an SGA initiative for this, I just want to voice my support for it. Because if they just hear it from one student, it's like, okay, whatever. But if they hear it from a lot of students that it's impacting, they're going to do something about it, I promise.
I can't speak for the entirety of the theater program and the music program here, but I can speak for myself as a leader of an organization in music at Quinnipiac, and saying that I already feel like a slight outsider with the Quinnipiac community, because I already feel that we are underrepresented and I'm underappreciated in the role I play in the music program, and pushing us away and making us excluded from the university just almost, makes that we are outsiders definite, because we literally are outsiders. We are outsiders looking in. This is our space, this is our home, this is our university, it's our community, but we're not even physically involved or placed here. And the amount of freshmen that, you know, the Legend specifically recruits, you know, they should be able to go to rehearsal on their own campus. And it's hard for those freshmen to also, you know, we have to figure out transportation for them every rehearsal. And as much, you know, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but we should be able to just have them walk to their rehearsal space, because that's what college should be. And that's, you know, they want to make sure that freshmen don't have cars on campus, right? Freshmen can't have cars. But how are they supposed to be involved in the arts? What if we couldn't drive them to rehearsal? What if the shuttles, you know, the shuttles aren't really doing their job great anyways when it comes to bringing people to Sherman? But what would have happened then? It would have been impossible for them to be a part of the arts, so it's already making it more difficult for people to be involved.
Just to add on, because I did have one class, I would say it's tolerable maybe to like go to one class a week or maybe 2 classes a week to do something like that, but when it comes to the time of a production, I can't even imagine how difficult it is for people and part of the production to, you know, be having to go there to build set designs for hours on end, and then if it ends up being really late, like what's your option to get home? Because then like the shuttles at that point like aren't even running. So you have to rely on a friend to be able to pick you up, and I just think that that's really unfair, and that's definitely something that needs to be worked on.
All right, I just want to add one more thing. The second part of the question is what can we do to improve this or help this? I think that space on Sherman would be great for like overflow, like extra rehearsal rooms, extra place to go if you know, people need a space besides hopefully someday an auditorium or a theater. But that should not be the main rehearsal space or theater for our programs here. So, I mean, it all comes down to we just need a home. We need a space, and the home and space that we have now is not acceptable and does not match up to the expectation that Quinnipiac University has as a whole. You know, ambition unleashed, you know, let us have that ambition.
Again, talking out of turn, but I do love that theater space for the rehearsals. It's great, like it's a perfect space to be like together as a group. But when it comes to doing a show, fourth wall sold out every single show in the spring semester pretty quickly. I don't know how many more tickets they would have sold if they had a bigger space, but they could only fit about, I think it's 55 people at each show. So having about 4 shows means only 200 people can come to your shows at a college where we have 10,000 students, and all the students in that show have parents and family members and friends from outside. So I don't know, it would have been nice to have larger audience sizes. Even if you don't sell out every show, you don't know how many more tickets you would have sold.
We have time for one final question.
Yeah, I don't need the mic. What advice, because a lot of this has been like very valid critiques of our arts on campus, or like, you know, representation of our arts on campus. What advice would you give to a prospective student who maybe, in lack of better words, turned off because of the lack of arts on our campus?
I don't even want to say there's a lack of arts. The community is amazing. The people I've met through it are amazing. I love them all so much. And it's one of the best things I've done here is getting involved in that. I was never in theater ever before I came here. I did it because a friend convinced me to go to a rehearsal that I wasn't even taking seriously at first, and then I fell in love with it. So I think whether you're a student who's coming here for that specifically or just coming here in general, please give it a chance, because this community is growing, I think. I think it's better than when I came here. It's probably better than when you guys got here. But we do need to keep making strides. So if you're a student who wants to come here specifically for an arts major or to be involved in an org like that, just know there is going to be some hurdles to overcome, but it's kind of the fun of it, I guess, in a way. So it presents a little bit of a challenge, but it's very rewarding when you make those strides. So
I was just gonna say, I do believe that the opportunities that in certain areas in the arts, there are a lot of opportunities in areas of design and film and theater and music. It is here. So for an incoming student, I would say that you do have that opportunity to get involved and make the most out of it. I think that the communities are very tightly knit. Even though they are smaller or unrepresented in many ways, but I would say that while you're here, just keep trying to be loud, make your voice heard. And so I would definitely say don't overlook it just because maybe it's like a smaller community. Quinnipiac isn't an art school, but they're great communities and very tightly knit, and just keep making it stronger.
As you know, back when I was here we go. Back when I was a prospective student, looking at Quinnipiac, the fact that the music program was smaller was a bit of a worry for me, because music has always been such a large part of my life and who I am and what I care about. But I knew that it did exist, and I've always been somebody, Jake said it kind of creates a challenge, but I've always been somebody who's up for the challenge. And I knew regardless of what the music or theater program looked like, I would still want to be a part of it, and I would still give it everything that I had. And that's exactly what I did. I knew before even coming to Quinnipiac that I wanted to be a part of the Legends Acapella, and now it's crazy to me, flash forward 2 years, I'm representing the entire organization, and it is possible. And also something to think about, prospective students are the future of these programs, and we need you to come here and continue the legacies that we're creating now, and continue the growth, and use your voices. And you guys are truly, any prospective student is the future. And if you put your mind to something, you can make it happen, and you can get it done. And that's what we are all doing here tonight. We're advocating for ourselves and our organizations and trying to make a change. So I would definitely not let it turn you off, because it is still such an amazing experience. I have met my best friends and my family here through my organization and through the music program. So definitely it does exist, and it is, like Jake said as well, incredible. Mini plug.
And that concludes tonight's panel. I just have a couple things I want to say, and hopefully I can put it up here before my computer dies, because it told me right in the beginning that I was on low battery. I just want to personally thank our three panelists here tonight. I actually know all three of you personally. I work with all three of you. But more than that, I know deep down that these three that are here seated tonight are leaders here on campus. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're seeing. And I know, myself included, and these three, they will work tirelessly to improve the arts on this campus. So can we just give a round of applause to our wonderful panelists for being here tonight. And I also want to thank the few of you, the proud, the dedicated, for coming out here tonight, and everyone watching on the live stream. You could have been anywhere on this Friday, anywhere, if you know what I'm talking about, but you are here. So
let's give a hand to our wonderful panelists, Jake Sidor, Jenna Hallam, and Nia Palezzo. Pizzello. Our moderator, Sean Fermentes.
Yeah.
And of course, me. I thank the audience for coming to our first event of the year. Woo! Thank you all for your support. I also thank SAL's members, both E-Board and G-Board. On behalf of SAL, I thank the university for giving our organization the opportunity to do this event. There will be many more events to come. If you enjoyed yourself with what you have heard tonight, please support the artwork, including SAL. You can also support SAL by following us on our Instagram at Quinnipiac, SAL, or SAL. Also, please donate to the organization. The proceeds go to help out our org and other student organizations here on campus. Thanks again, everyone, and have a
One
great
more thing. Sorry. Nike, I love you, but I have one more thing I want to add. Just so everyone knows, he's actually my sweet mate. He lives right down to me, so whenever I have something, I tell him. So he's done a wonderful job, so thank you. I do want to announce that we have our visual art competition and showcase on December 3rd. That is going to be in the Mount Carmel, no, not the Piazza, what am I saying? Mount Carmel Auditorium, CCE 101. So if you're interested, please reach out to our lovely events manager, or also me or any one of our fellow reporters. All right? Now we can say thank you.
Thank you, Sean, for that announcement. Could we have another round of applause for Sean, please? Such a wonderful person. Now, thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.